So welcome to the much more advanced part of the course, which is the IMN 201, Industrial Metallurgy for NUMPTIES 2. Let's get right into it. Right, so what do we hope to achieve or gain from IMN 201? So the first module is around the various steel microstructures, so understanding what the ferrite phase is, bainite phase is, pearlite, and there's also what we call the martensite, if I can write that in properly, martensitic phase. Okay, and then the next module is around understanding the rationale and the application of heat treatments. So why do we carry out heat treatments? Is it to achieve mechanical properties or for us to improve our processability as well? The third module will look at the various quench media and explain their effect on steel properties as well. So we'll look at water quench, oil quench, air cool, and then something we call brine quenching as well, which is basically salt in water, and also polymer quenching as well. So 5 quench media. And then after looking at quench media, we'll look at various mechanical tests and what typical results do we expect for various steel grades. So we look at hardness, tensile, impacts, and other specialized testing as well. And then finally, to wrap it all up, we need to understand what is the future use of the steel components. So we look at various applications such as aerospace, what steel components do we use and what kind of finishing processes take place, automotive, oil and gas, and power generation as well. So let's delve deeper into each of these modules and try to understand what we aim to achieve from each of these modules. So lesson 6 is around alloying elements and their uses. And as standard, we do a revision of steel grades, which we learned in the previous lesson. And then we look at introduction to alloying elements. And then we look at residual elements, parasitic elements, grain refining elements, and the uses of alloying elements as well. And then I've got a cheat sheet which summarizes the alloying elements and the uses, and then we summarize the course. So the next one is lesson 7, which is around various steel microstructures. So what are steel microstructures? And as standard, we do a revision on lesson 6, which is alloying elements and their uses. And then we delve deeper into microstructures. And then we look at this diagram called CCT diagram, which is basically continuous cooling transformation diagram. And then we examine the effects of analysis on microstructures, effects of quench media on microstructures, and the effects of cross sections on microstructures as well. And then we examine an interesting diagram, which is the ion-carbon equilibrium diagram, and we try to understand how to interpret and make inference from that diagram as well. And then we delve deeper into the various phases or microstructures in steel. So we look at the austenite phase, the ferrite phase, the bainite phase, the pearlite phase, and the martensitic phase. And that ends this module. So lesson 8, which is heat treatment and rationale. I think that's a key part of this course and a very important module as well. So obviously we do a revision on various steel microstructures, and then we delve into heat treatment. Why do we carry out heat treatment and what's the rationale for carrying out heat treatment? And then we look at the key reasons why we carry out heat treatment. So the first one is around properties. So we look at things like hardening, quenching, tempering, stress relieving, solution treatment, aging, and normalizing. So about 7 key heat treatment processes for properties. And then we look at heat treatment for processing. So we look at full annealing, spheroidized anneal, and isothermal anneal as well. Okay, and then we summarize the module. We have lesson 9, which is around heat treatment quench media. And as standard, we do a revision on heat treatment and rationale. And then we look at the process of quenching. And then we try to understand the phases of quenching as well. And then we look into the factors affecting quenching. And then we consider 5 key quench media. So the first being water quench, brine quench, polymer quench, oil quench, and air cool. And then we summarize the course. So this course looks at heat treatment quench media. Right. So lesson 10 is around mechanical properties and testing. So after carrying out heat treatment, it's quite key to verify that your treatment has met your customer requirement or your specification. And this is carried out using mechanical testing. So as a standard as well, we do a revision on heat treatment quench media. And then we look at mechanical/release testing. So the first testing that we look at is the tensile test. Next being Sharpie impact test. And then hardness test. Germany head quench test. Cleanliness test. Macro edge test. And very specific or specialized test. So the first one being fatigue test, creep and stress rupture test, and fracture toughness testing. And then we summarize the course. So to round off the course, I've introduced what we call the future use and application. So we've talked about steel making, we've talked about finishing, we've talked about heat treatment. But it's quite key to understand where these steel grades are used and in what application. So that's what we'll be looking at in this module. And as is customary, we do a revision on mechanical property and testing. And then we delve into the future use and application. So the first application will be in the aerospace industry. What steel components are used and in what parts? We look at oil and gas as well. In the oil and gas applications, what steel grades are used and what they're used for. We look at automotive as well as power generation. And that will end the course. So quite an exhaustive list from lesson 6 to lesson 11 to learn in IMN 201. And I'll see you guys in the lecture.